Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're talking about our first impressions of
Ra.
Ra. Ra, which is probably one of the oldest games we've done a first impression on.
Yes, I would say so.
At least at this point. I don't... Cause I think what did I say? It was 1999 release from
99,
the
I
Dr. Reiner Knizia.
Dr. Reiner Knizia.
So, yeah, it's we haven't played it in all this time. But that may be because we didn't have easy access to the game. I think now, at this time anyway, I think they're finished with their GameFound campaign of a new printing of it. So it's going to be much more accessible now.
Yep.
I think for a while there it was a little bit harder to get, a little bit harder to come by. But yeah, it was. I think it was one that maybe you knew about. I can't remember. Did you know about it more before the Dice Tower?
I think I had heard about it, but it just kind of blended in with all the kind of Egyptian older themed games, and I didn't really look into it. But I had heard the name, and obviously it's a 2-letter name, so it kind of sticks out.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think anything really stood out. I didn't look into it much.
Right, yeah. I don't think I knew much about it, and even if I did, I think at the time it would have been harder to get, so I feel like those ones I don't really try to get too into, just because they're a little bit more on the spendy side typically when they're out of print or whatever. But yeah, I think I first heard about it or looked into it more after the Dice Tower played it on one of their spectaculars, and then I think that was about the same time the World Series of Board Gaming was announced, and I don't remember if that was the first or the last one announced. I think it might have been the first or something like that. And when I had watched it, I was like, wow, that looks like a lot of fun, because it was one that looked very approachable. It didn't look like it was going to be like a hard game. I think that's what made it seem like it was going to be a really fun game, and that made me more disappointed, because I can't remember at that time if it had been announced that there was another one coming. I'm not sure if they had announced that there was going to be that campaign for the new edition of Raw at that time. But it made me more disappointed that it was not easily available. Because from that one playthrough that I watched, it looked pretty solid.
Yeah, it's kind of, like I said, kind of blends in, and you hear Ra or whatever, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be some big, heavy, complicated Egyptian-themed game, but then when you just watch it, and it's kind of just bidding, kind of press your luck type game, and it's like, that's completely different from what I expected. And yeah, it's just the kind of around the table atmosphere is pretty cool with this one.
Right, I would agree. And I think another thing with this one, which would have made it hard to get, was the fact that we had not actually played it, and it was one of those that was known to, I think, play better at like a 4 or 5 player count, whereas we play a lot of games 2 to 3 players. But yeah, we went to our Friendly Local Board Games store's 10th anniversary convention thing they were running, and we had originally went there to play Blood Rage, which was another game in the World Series of Board Gaming, which was one that I think we had both wanted to try. And we're gonna have a first impression video of that one as well, so check that out if you want to see our first impressions of Blood Rage. But then we had kind of went to eat and then came back, and we got the chance. We were kind of talking to some people there, and they were showing kind of the games they had. And then
the guy unzips his bag, and you can see Ra in there, and I just saw your whole demeanor change, and you just got an excited little kid on Christmas.
Right. The other guy had just kind of explained like 6 or 7 games that he had all taken out, and I just saw that, and I was like, there it is. That's the game I want to play. I don't even have to hear any of this other stuff. But yeah.
I knew when I saw it, I'm like, we're playing Ra. He has been wanting to play this for quite a long time.
Yeah, I have definitely been wanting to play that. So, I was really excited about it, for sure.
Yeah. And I was a little more mixed, because player count, obviously. We talked about So, I mean, that shouldn't really change kind of your thoughts going into a game if you are playing it at a higher player count.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still kind of in the head because you're kind of thinking, is this going to be one that we would even add to the collection?
Right.
Not that that should diminish a playthrough, but it's still kind of in your head. So I wasn't overly obsessive or excited about it as you were, but still, it is Reiner Knizia, so like he always tries to do something a little clever with a game or scoring in a game.
Right.
So yeah, I was pretty excited as well.
Yeah, so then we got to playing it, and so it's kind of a set collection and bidding auction type game.
Yep.
Kind of a combo of the two. And I think the bidding and auction part is kind of the whole meat of the game.
Yes.
I mean, definitely all your points come from the set collection stuff you're doing on the side, but kind of how that all works is really cool. And I'm just, I don't know. I look at it now and I'm like shocked that that was something that was in 1999, and I'm almost shocked because at first I thought it wasn't in the Board Game Geek Top 100, but it's in the top 200, which is still really solid.
Yeah.
But based on that mechanism alone, and for how, I guess I don't remember when Board Game Geek came out. I think it was early 2000s.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would have hurt it. I guess I don't know how successful it was when it first came out, but
Yeah.
I just feel like at that time that bidding would have been,
Yeah, mind blowing.
yeah.
I mean, it still
is
holds up.
now,
It's
I think.
great.
Right. Yeah. So I'm actually shocked that it's not higher because of that.
Yeah.
But I could see maybe the set collection part kind of, I would say bringing it down, but not really pushing it up an additional level.
Set collection, you just kind of, it's just kind of there. I mean, it feels like kind of maybe level 1 beginner set collection scoring.
And I said I had thought it reminded me kind of like a Sushi Go or Sushi Roll, where there's like kind of the ones where if you have the most, you score points. If you have the least, you lose points. Where that one you got some that are just base point ones.
It's like, oh, you want different types of these. And,
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty basic, especially compared to just how unique and compelling that bidding mechanism is. So yeah, I kind of felt like two halves, even though it was satisfying to get points. It wasn't the focus of the game.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I think still even with that, and after that first play, I actually was wanting to play even some more. I wanted to try it again because it's a quick game. Once you kind of know what you're doing, you're just passing the bag around the table, and you're either picking up or doing a tile, calling raw for doing an auction, or I think those were the two, right?
Yeah, or else swapping out some tiles
swapping
with some
if you have
special ones.
Yeah, if you have a god to a tile. So yeah, I mean it's super simple rules to the game, and but yeah, I really liked it quite a bit. I think I would give it, just as an initial rating, maybe like a 8.5 around there. I kind of wish it had some more type of scoring, or kind of like, I think that's what made me think of Sushi Go Party, was that I feel like I wish they had like different types of tiles you could move in and out of the game to kind of change it up. Raw Party. I think that would be the only thing that kind of brings it down, and I don't know, like, if I owned it, if that part would be as fun after 10, 15 plays. But at the same time, since we still play mostly 2 to 3 players, it'd kind of be one that when you have a bigger group, you'd get it out every now and then. So I don't think it would get too old. And I saw that, I think you can late back it currently. I don't know when this video will come out, if that it will be current. But then I think there's going to be a retail version of Raw anyway. But I think that was on GameFound. If you do it now, it's like $40 for the retail version. I thought that was pretty solid of a price. I think that's definitely a good price for it, and I would definitely approve getting it if it sounds interesting to you. If you're always playing with higher player counts and you want an interesting bidding, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I'm coming in a little higher as usual. I'm usually a little bit higher on games. Not all games, but most of them. I'm coming in with a 9. I was excited, kind of after watching the playthrough, but I still didn't completely understand the bidding mechanism in that. I didn't actually learn the game until we actually did play it, and then once we were actually playing it, I actually got to absorb the awesomeness of that mechanism, and I just had a great time with it. Even though, like you said, I feel like could use a little modern touch on the scoring tiles. I really, really enjoyed the play, and I would be up for a game anytime, I feel.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that surprised me that they didn't, that I know of anyway, with the new release, that they didn't do something, just a little bit of something, or add an expansion, a little expansion or something. But I guess at the same time, I see how there's a lot of Kickstarters and GameFound projects that's like, oh, here's a brand new game. See, I think this one has earned it because it's 20-some years old, so it's like, I wouldn't mind them adding that in there. But like some of these brand new ones are like, oh, and here's, for another $20, here's this expansion and this expansion and this expansion. Then you got 5 huge boxes showing up, and it's like, okay, well, I should start with the base game. How many plays in before I get to play with all that good stuff?
Yeah, right.
And I can see how that makes it a little bit more intimidating too.
Yeah.
But just playing this one, I feel like it would be easy to do something like that. I don't think that would be as overwhelming as like some of those huge Kickstarter or GameFound projects.
Yeah.
So I'm a little disappointed that they didn't do something with that. But maybe now, if it's more readily available, maybe they'd be more likely to do it. I guess I don't know how often Reiner Knizia makes expansions.
I can't.
He makes a lot of games, but I don't know if he makes.
Can't think of any expansions to any of his games. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have no idea. He's too busy working on 7 other games at the same time.
Yeah, but I'm surprised they haven't made one. And I'm surprised that mechanism has not been kind of copied into another game. It's crazy. That's another reason why it's shocking it's not in the top 100, because it's the only one with something like that.
Right. Yeah, I think like we had kind of talked about too, is Nidavellir is kind of the closest thing we kind of felt to the bidding, but not
you can kind of change your. In Nidavellir, you're just straight up upgrading your tokens to better ones.
Right.
In this one, you could be downgrading them.
Right, you're bidding for not only for the tiles, but for the token that you're a future bidding token that you'd have. So, kind of valuing all of that is what really makes it interesting. And sometimes, I feel like I think that's why the scoring maybe seems like not that great. I feel like a lot of the times I'm more focused on what the middle tile is, or the middle token is that you're going to be bidding with in future rounds, than the actual tiles themselves.
Because it's like, these tiles give me 5 points, and that should feel like a lot, but it's like, but then I'm going to have a 2 next round to bid, and that's not going to get me anything.
Right, exactly. And there's also, the way that it just all works really well, because you can have raw tiles that force an auction, and based on how that comes out sometimes, that can really make for some interesting situations, because you might have like a 12 token out there, and someone might have, an auction might have just happened, there's no actual tiles, but then maybe the person that just drew the new raw tile has a 1 token, so they're really not going to be able to win anything big with that, but they could upgrade for the next round to that big, so they could bid 1, so then the other people at the table have to decide, is it worth giving them that 12 token or 13 token for the next round, or do I bid my 2, even though I'm not going to get any tiles with it? It brings up
crazy.
Really cool.
Yeah, I did not expect that to come up. It's not something that was even on the radar, but when it happens, it's like, that's interesting.
Right, and then with those raw tiles as well, that can kind of trigger rounds to end quicker or slower, and you actually had it really work out for you the one round where you did have your 1 token, or I
had my 1
left, and I think the 13, which is the highest one in our 4-player game, was out there, and you also had it just keep going, and
everyone else had used all of their won all their bets that they can that round.
Right, and filled the entire thing. So you got 8 tiles, and you traded so you got for your 1, which is the lowest one. You got 8 tiles and the 13 tokens. So, and I don't remember. I think you might have had to get rid of
Yeah,
some of them
yeah.
or something. So you only got like 6, but
Yeah.
still, with the one that was just really cool. How
Yeah.
you could see how that could happen.
But then if too many of those raw tiles had come out,
right.
then I could have possibly gotten nothing. So
Exactly.
it's such an interesting kind of push your luck to the game.
Because that was like the second round, and then the third round, I feel like 3 of us had bidding tokens left that we didn't even get to use
yeah.
because so many of the raw tiles came out
Yes.
so quickly.
Yeah.
So I could see how that could really make it fun. But yeah, it's a really fun game.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm definitely more willing to get it now that there's a new edition that's going to be a little more affordable.
Yes.
And now that I know how approachable it is, be more likely to possibly be able to get that to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Raw. That's our initial thoughts on Raw after one game of it. I'd like to play more, but we'll see. We'll get there. But yeah, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see future first impression videos, definitely subscribe and hit the notifications. Otherwise, we hope to see you on the next video. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
honor content.